Hello, everyone, and welcome to Give Me Some Good News, the travel and tourism podcast about happiness and positivity. I'm your host here, Caleb, with my wonderful co host, as always, Mr. Tyler Ford. Tyler, how are we doing today?
Caleb, we are doing great. And I can't believe this is our first pod of the year.
Can't believe it.
That
I
is
know.
crazy.
I know
Wow. Well,
we're
I'm really
recording
excited
this
for
on the
this. It's
15th.
fun.
So,
Yeah.
we talked about in our last episode, I believe it was on the 29th of December, about how we wanted to bring in some, new exciting guests with some awesome perspectives. And man, we've got a good one for you today. This is something that I'm very excited about. So I would like to introduce Christina Riley to the show. Christina, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Christina, you are an amazing influencer. And I think, when I look at the travel and tourism space as a whole, I've seen a few trends. One of them that Tyler and I talk about a lot is authenticity. And so I've always looked up to you as being an influencer that goes authenticity first. And that's something I've always admired about you. So I am giddy. You are undoubtedly the biggest guest we've had on the show. So
No
sorry to
pressure,
all,
no
yeah, I know,
pressure,
no
dude.
pressure at all, right? And sorry to my other guests, but wow, we are stoked to have you. So we'll kind of just kick it off with tell us about yourself. What do you do?
Yeah, so I try to survive. That's first. I think that's kind of everyone right now. We're all just trying to survive. No, my husband and I'll start with our story because our story kind of explains how we got here. I met my husband in a bar in 2010. And 2 weeks later, he asked me to move to South Korea with him. And I was like, dude, I just met you in a bar. No, I'm not moving to Korea with you. And then I ended up moving to Korea with him. So things worked out.
Oh.
And when we were in Korea, that was when our kind of blogging and content creation journey started because we wanted a way to communicate with our families how different life was over there. And that main way to do that was through blogging. And so we started a blog just to kind of keep our families updated. And Carl bought me a camera. I had never gotten into photography or done anything in that realm before. And then while we were living there, we lived in Korea for 5 years. We started to find niches that needed to be filled. So when we lived in one particular city in Korea, our language was good enough to kind of break down the commonly asked questions for expats. There weren't very many English speakers or English speaking teachers when we were living there. There may be 50 of us, but we all had the same question of how do you get the bus? Like, how do you get the bus to Seoul? Or why do you buy these different trash bags? And so our blogging story kind of started there as a way to provide useful information to people who are asking all of these questions. And so we spent 5 years in Korea. We backpacked Asia and we decided that we didn't want to move back to West Virginia, where we were from. And my sister had just moved to North Carolina and we loved it. We had one sip of full steam beer while we were in between contracts. And we're like, you know what? This place is pretty cool. I think we're going to do this. So after 5 years of living in Korea, we landed no jobs, no home, like only the backpacks on our back from backpacking in Durham in 2015. And we had had a general travel blog during that time period of again, still sharing our travels. And Carl had been learning SEO and been working on his skills, digital skills. And I had just kind of been floating there in the background, kind of being like, here's a camera, I take some pictures sometimes. And so Carl had always kind of had this as his dream to work for himself, to do the blog full time. And I was like, no, dude, I really like stability and like paying my mortgage and bills and all that stuff. But we had had a friend when we moved to Korea, we had done some, or moved back from Korea to the US. We had done some traveling up and down the East Coast and putting that on a blog or whatever. And it was just kind of weird because this blog had Asia and Thailand and Korea and then Brent Royal, Virginia, just totally random stuff. And we had had a friend who was like, hey, nobody's really doing this for North Carolina, and you could just create a blog just on North Carolina. So 2017, I had our oldest daughter, and we gave birth to NC Tripping. So that was when we started everything of just focusing on North Carolina. And when COVID hit, before COVID happened, we were pondering going back to expanding outside of North Carolina and doing more general stuff. And then once COVID happened, we were like, you know what? We have so much work to do here in the state that there's still so much. There's still so many things and articles that need to be written and destinations I haven't been to and places and ideas that I have floating around that now I can't even fathom like having being done with work.
Yeah. That makes
Yeah.
sense. The Old North State is the best. I will go on
Yeah.
record and proudly say, as a proud North Carolinian, that it is the best state. So, yeah, I mean, you really couldn't have landed in a better state to represent through your blog and
Yeah.
through your social media. So, like, for you, how did this start, like, as far as working with DMOs? Like, when was your first, like, engagement with the destination with NC Tripping?
So before NC Tripping, we had done some DMO works on hosted stays through our general travel website. We had gone to MATPRA, the Mid-Atlantic Travel for that one,
That one,
that
yep.
conference. We had done that for a couple of years, and so we had started to get networking and going through that. And I think that when we started NC Tripping, some of the contacts that we had had through our general travel site started to trickle down and niche us down into North Carolina. And so we had first worked with, I can't remember who our very first was, but there have been several key people in the industry that believed in us and saw something in us before we even did. They were like, "Hey, we're going to host you. Hey, we're going to do this. Do whatever you want to do," because this was 2015, 2016, before blogging and social media were really a big deal.
Hmm.
And they saw something in us before we knew it was there. And for that, those people will forever be like, "You want something? Here it is. You got it. Go for
Yep.
it." And I'll always love them for seeing something in us that we didn't know was there.
That's awesome. I love that you found a niche and just kind of
Mhm.
like stuck with it. I think that's a really good just piece of advice and like a good nugget for anyone listening to just t take that in. Like find your niche and just stick with it. You don't always have to like spread to every other state or make things too general. Like sometimes it's good to just find a hole
Yeah.
where something doesn't exist, like what you guys did. Um,
Yeah.
and
And I
so I
think for a
love your
while that
involvement.
also gave us like a box to fit into. For a while
Yeah.
it was, I'm not going to accept any collaborations with any business that's not a North Carolina brand. And that was great for a while. We've had to expand since then
Sure.
because it was like, well, it's we got to go out a little bit. But it was like even still, I've been like, can we go to Grayson Highlands, which is right over the line in Virginia to see the
Yeah.
horses? Carl's like, no, no, you've got it's not one of the 100 counties. You got to stay. And I was like, ugh. But yeah,
No, that's great. And I think it's very interesting seeing the content developed. Like it seems again, authenticity seems to be a theme that I see through a lot of the work that you guys do. And um how how does that authenticity like how do you go about authentically representing a destination or an experience in North Carolina? Like, do you have like a mental shot list? Do you kind of have like preconceived notions? Like how do you go about developing this authentic story with your content?
sometimes in some destinations, I'll have like yes, I have this specific shot planned or I have this idea. But the main goal, and I think I've spent a lot of this past year of 2025 reflecting back on my business because I do feel like I am at a turning point because of the rise of social media and because everyone with a cell phone now can do what I do, which is great. There are good things about that, but there are also not so great things about that. And my goal through all of my content, and I finally put like a word to it, was I want other people to make memories. I
Mm,
want people, it doesn't have to be about me because it's not about me. I don't want to be the center of attention. And in fact, for a very long time, I wasn't in any of our content because I was like, I'm good. um, because I wanted to display it as this is what I did. You can do it too. You can make your own memories with your family and do those things and have it less to be about what I care about. But in that, people also have to trust me. And so that's where the being an individual with authentic values, or showing the good, the bad, so that people can trust you, leads
Mm.
to. Because otherwise you're not able to truly influence people. Of they can smell when you're not authentic. They can smell when you're making things up. They can smell when you are just trying to sell something to get the code, or to get whatever it is that you need to get. And while all of that is important, making money as a business is important, doing it with the right reasons is what makes you continue to be successful and continue to stay showing up in these spaces.
Mm.
So I definitely would say that for DMOs, and some advice would be allow the people they're working with, the marketers and just the content creators, to just have that full authenticity and not have to push too hard on a specific agenda.
Mhm.
Do you have
Yeah,
any other like
absolutely.
great advice for DMOs who might be listening?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it, my most successful partnerships have been with not only with DMOs who understand what I like to enjoy and what I do.
Yep.
Because you're not going to send me to go do a whole thing on nightclubs. Like, this girl is in bed by 9 o'clock. This is not, you
Same.
throw me a hot dog, you throw me some weird stuff that's like, all, the largest frying pan in the US. Yes, that is my stuff. Don't send me into like an all girls shopping, mani-pedi like nightclub. That's not me.
So
And
NC
so,
clubbing is wide open for
yes,
the taking, I guess,
wide
then,
Okay.
if you
open.
want to go get it. Yeah.
Somebody else do it. Like,
Note
people
taken.
have approached me about it, and I'm like, if you want to do it and we can work together, maybe. But I like, this girl is not out late at night. And so I think that for the DMO to have a firm kind of understanding on what kind of content that influencer likes, or what kind of things, or even just asking us. Because I had that happen yesterday, of like, in a phone call with a partner, and they were like, so what does your audience really reflect on? And what do they really seem to go for? And what is it? Is there certain time, what kind of content? And having those conversations, and like, communication is the number one, of
Mm.
like, let's have these conversations, put it all out there so that we have expectations clear. Um, so you know what I stand for, and I know what you stand for, and we can both create something beautiful together, because that's the ultimate goal of a partnership.
Yeah, and I love that kind of thought pattern of a partnership, right? Like
Mhm.
this is not a fully transactional engagement, because on one side you're incentivized to create authentic, real, relevant content for your audience. Then on the other
Mhm.
side, there is a responsibility for the destination to be represented in a positive light.
Mhm.
And with that, like, has there been a destination that you've worked with that has just seen like, or even a restaurant or a location that's just seen like great growth, or like had just like a big win from your content specifically?
I mean, I can say numbers wise, yeah, I've
Yeah.
had some really big, some surprising destinations that, like, I didn't even know that they applied for awards and won things until
Yeah.
afterwards. They're like, oh, that was my work and that won. Cool. Um, and I think what that comes from is when a destination is really excited and
Mm,
they truly love their destination, because that's how I get ideas. We are long past, and to say that blogging is dead, it's not dead, but it's not what it used to be. It's not the powerhouse that it used to have. So when I used to work with a destination and we would create like the top 10 things to do in Winston-Salem, that's no longer important
mm,
information anymore, because that's so readily available that people no longer care what the top 10 things are to do. They care about what you do, because they
mm,
know who you are. And so therefore they want to know what's something unique, what's something different, what's something buzzworthy to do. And the only way that I kind of find those things is by having conversations with DMOs, that they might not realize that that trail that's got like five moonshine stills on it is super cool to me, because
right.
they're like, oh yeah, nobody cares
Yeah.
about that. And I'm like, no, 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 there, I see potential in that. And you don't see that until you start talking together and you realize, oh, there is a story that I could tell here because it's exciting to me and you have it. on the flip side, there's also been destinations been like, this is our coolest thing that you need to go, and they overhype it. And I'm like, this is not
Mm,
as exciting to connect with, but I will do it because that's what you want me to do.
yeah.
But I think that you can truly tell when a destination is excited and loves where they live and where they work because it comes through in their conversations. And in that becomes really cool content.
That's great. Yeah, and kind of going on that, there's been a lot of shifts in the marketing space. I thought leaders in the industry are talking about, LLMs and just a shifting landscape. But, the way I see it is when you have a truly engaged audience like you do, you're authentic, you're honest, you really do create like a an army of a following that's loyal. With that in mind, how do you kind of see the creator economy shifting in the upcoming years? Because my opinion is, and I know Tyler's is too, is that there's this thirst for authenticity and for genuine
Mhm.
representation, but kind of from a content creator's eyes, like how do you kind of see it shifting?
Yeah, I absolutely do see that shifting. And because I've been here since the beginning, it feels like forever. The one word that we've had in our repertoire is pertinacity, of not giving up, of continuing to evolve and to adapt and to change. Because, when I first started out, it was super easy for me to do hosted trips with destinations because out of that it became a partnership because then all that content that I created, I put it on my blog, and my blog was able to monetize to give me that mutual beneficiary of a partnership of like, I can make money because it's on my blog. Well, now that the blogs are taking a back seat, it's not the same benefit anymore of like now we have to create content and sell that content. But that also means that you can't continue to do the top 10 things anymore. You can't just do that because that's what everyone is doing.
Right.
So, the most important thing for me as we look forward, because like I said earlier, I do feel like I am at this transition phase of I can't keep doing what I've been doing because it's not successful. I've got to change and keep adapting to do something new. And with that, I think that it is coming down to you can't just do what everyone else is doing online. You can't just do the top five things. You can't call everything buzzworthy. You can't call everything a hidden gem anymore because people are like, this is bull. This isn't, that's not true. Um, and so I think I'm in this stage still sitting here trying to figure out how exactly I am going to go forward in that authenticity because uh there are boundaries that I like to keep in my life
Yep.
of being authentic, but also this is my business, this is my livelihood. I need to pay my bills and my mortgage, and um, finding a fine line between what is too authentic and what is still professional and what is still like moving, how to keep moving forward in it. Um, and I think with that comes trust and conversation and just continuing to show up. I
Yeah.
hope.
Well, do you have anything you're really excited about for 2026?
Oh man, I wish it's real quiet right now.
Yeah.
um, I have an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old. So right now my life it really truly is just surviving.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're on a
A
podcast today
family.
with two dads, so we
Yeah.
are
I
right there with
know.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I
2
am
a.m. to
first.
4 a.m. We were up.
Yeah, I am first one to admit we are probably in the hardest stage of our lives of
Yeah.
Yeah.
parenting, of sleep, in our business, in our world. And so just showing up every day
Yeah.
and smiling is what we're trying to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a
Smiling is
lot to balance.
everything. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we're really grateful to have you on here today, and we always like to ask, Tyler asked what you're looking forward to in 2026, but we always like to ask for some good news. What's just some good news in your world?
Oh man, that's a hard.
It could be
It
anything.
could be anything.
Didn't even have to be travel related
No,
if you
yeah, it
don't
doesn't have
want.
to be travel. It doesn't even have to be work related. Just good stuff.
Um, I mean, this is extending my boundaries, but the last year, I had a rough go with my marriage, and it was, we were in the throes of life and business, and uh, my husband and I decided to really dig deep and go to couples therapy and go back into our marriage and with some positive reinvention because I think that a lot of people get to an age and a stage in their marriage and relationships that life is hard and it's real easy to grow apart.
Yeah.
And so in the last year, we made a really conscious decision to grow together because I had been, doing some emotional growth in one direction and he had been over here. And so it was coming together to find that, so that we could be good partners together and no longer just focusing on keeping the kids alive and keeping the business alive. It was now about keeping our relationship alive,
Yeah.
which
Hmm.
helps both of those other sides. So I would say that's my good news. And he
Hey,
like
that's great news.
That's
nailed
great
his
news.
Christmas present and did a great
Ah,
job.
Carl,
Oh, way
you're
to
the
go.
man.
Shout out, Carl.
Uh,
Look,
That's
he
awesome.
planned a date for every month of the year, like
Wow.
full
amazing.
out in a book. So if you want to steal that,
Oh
go
my
for it.
gosh.
It was
Yeah.
it was
I'm
amazing.
literally stealing that
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
amazing.
Do
It's way better than what I
it.
did. Okay.
Well, I will say
Noted.
too, I'm very grateful for that answer, and the reason is I my favorite quote in all of cinema, all of TV, Tyler knows this, is Michael Scott. He says, "Business is the most personal thing there is."
Yeah.
In the office. And so, at the end of the day, we have homes, we have families, and
Mhm.
what a blessing and what great news to be moving in a good direction. I mean, at the end of the day, like you have to grow together. So,
Yeah.
it's on all of us to find that because what does a DMO curator or creator economy matter if, you can't have fun when you're at home. So,
Yeah,
congratulations.
exactly. And there's all those like things that tie into it too of like if
Yep.
my relationship's not good, then what about my business?
Right.
What's the next step on that? And so I think a lot of things were kind of being held together of um we've spent so much of our lives since starting this kind of in survival mode and focusing only on the business.
Yeah.
And that's not a healthy way to live of just focusing on making money because
Yeah.
you can't. You've got to
Mhm.
continue to like have the reason and the why and the people behind it that if this were all to all go away in an instant, because it can, that you still have something to stand for and stand on afterwards. And so
Oh,
that was kind of my goal in this last year of trying to make sure that I'm here for the right reasons, that I'm showing up, that I'm giving everything that I have to not only my family, but also to the people that trust me or that come to this business and look to me that I can be my best self because over the last 5 years, especially since COVID, therapy has been the most important thing that has gotten me through being a creator
yeah.
online, dealing with other people and dealing with how to show up as myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And all this said, like you have a bright 2026 in front of you. That foundational work is key. And
Yeah.
I'm with you there. Like therapy, whether it's with a friend, like poor Tyler talks to me on the phone for hours and hours a day as I'm going on my lunch break or on my walks. He is my go-to
Hey.
guy. And then we have this podcast, but then also like, never be stagnant, always be
Mhm.
growing. And I appreciate you sharing that authenticity because, we are who we are, and you are an amazing person. And I'm so grateful for the time today. So if people want to
Thank
learn
you.
more about you, where can they find you?
I'm NC Tripping on all platforms, and we also have our website with all of 600 articles on North Carolina at nctripping.com.
The best state. I'm going
Nice.
The
on
best
record.
state.
The best state. And Tyler, where can people find you if they're interested in learning more about you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, and I've got to create a better answer for this because I'm not really anywhere else.
He's just a LinkedIn
Maybe I
man.
maybe I need to. Are there any, Christine? Are there any new platforms? I'm not like what's new in the. I'm not really into social media. What's new out there
I mean,
for a
I love
28-year-old like myself?
threads. Oh, you're
Threads.
Threads.
28. You're so young. Oh my God. Um, Caleb, are you
Threads.
28?
I am. I
Okay.
am.
Yeah, Threads. So I love
Okay.
Threads, but I will give full disclosure that if you look for me on Threads, do not expect the same person on Threads as Instagram because I definitely treat it like my personal, like what Twitter used to be.
Yep. Rest
Um,
in peace.
yeah, and so it is definitely unhinged over there. And I have had a
Sure.
lot of people tell me they're like, I followed you for years, but I didn't know you were X, Y, and Z. And I was like, yep, sorry.
Okay.
And they
Okay.
say that they like me more for that. And I was
There
like,
you
that's
There
go.
you
good
go.
because there's
Nice.
still some like I try to keep some boundaries and neutrality on because it's a business
It
on
is a
all my
business.
other
Yep.
platforms. So Threads is where I get a little unhinged and say some things that I might not should say. And so yeah, Threads is cool. Go to Threads.
Love threads.
Okay. Well,
Tyler, you're
hey,
on
I'm gonna
threads
learn
now.
what Threads is, and I've got a project for after this.
Yes, you
Hey,
do.
you'll soon be able to find me on Threads.
So
Caleb, where can they find you?
you guys can find me. I'm Caleb Sullivan. I work with Paradise Advertising and Marketing. And email me if you want to be on the show, right? I did a little digging. We've officially had over 100 listens to our podcast,
Yeah.
which is wild.
Nice.
Thank you guys. We love you guys and appreciate it. But you can, if you want to be on the podcast, it's csullivan at paradiseadv.com. And you know what, guys? This has been some good news.